All right, good morning, everybody. I'm Mark Sudduth here. It is Friday now, the 12th day of December, joined by CJ Florida Man Weather Morgan down in Florida. I'm up in North Carolina. Good to have you with us, everybody. Talking weather once again here. Again, the end of the work week, the end of our second week of doing this show and this live broadcast where we just kind of chit chat about the weather, go over some current weather conditions, a look at the forecast out to the next 7 days, maybe some big headlines, things where the weather's been impactful, a few different topics here and there of interest to all of us, and then occasionally a guest. We've been doing that. And then we always end looking for that next big storm system or big weather event. And CJ, today I've got a really good tweet from our good friend Eric Webb related
Good,
to all
good.
of that. So we'll cover that and more. And in about 15 minutes, we're going to have Jen Naramore come on with our segment of checking in with Jen. We're at the 4 year anniversary of the Mayfield tornado, and
Hard
CJ
to
is
believe.
and Jen are that's pretty much their segment today. But we'll get to that. How you doing, CJ?
And I'm hanging in there. It's a little chilly down here this morning. Woke up at 7:30. It was 46 degrees, which for Floridians is
Yeah,
Arctic, as
dude, I'm
Brent
done with
would
it.
say.
It's just no
Yeah,
good. My son texted me that it's
it's been
snowing up in
chilly.
Cary.
Oh wow. That's
Yep,
not, how
flurries,
far is Raleigh from you?
120 miles
So
from
it's
here to
what, an
Raleigh.
hour and 2 hours or so,
Right.
roughly. Yeah.
Yep.
So look at that. I mean, 2 hours away, it's snowing.
Yeah. And it's
Nope.
going to get really
Mm,
cold later this weekend here. We're going to have a
yeah, I saw
low
that.
of Sunday night of 18 degrees here
Ooh.
in Wilmington. Ugh. Mike and I are going up to the Outer Banks tomorrow to finally replace the pier cam at the world famous Rodanthe Pier. So we're gonna do all that. It's gonna be 64 tomorrow, and then a high on Monday of like 39.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and no snow
You
down here to show for it. So
right. It's
oh
just
well.
bitterly cold.
Yes. Well, let me jump back to the screen share and show you folks the lineup for today, the four bullet points. Yeah, the record flooding out in the Washington state area continues. We'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
Lake snows are going to return. I saw a post about that from the Weather Prediction Center. And we're going to talk about the Mayfield tornado now 4 years later. And then coming up towards Christmas, is it going to be too warm for Santa? Now,
Right.
spoiler alert, hide your elementary school kids. You got 5 seconds. Five, four, three, two. There is no Santa, so whatever. But it could be warm enough to scare the fictitious Santa back to the North Pole. And you know what? That's fine with me because I'm done with
Whew.
this cold with no weather to go with it. It's just a
Right.
waste. So that's the topics for today. All right, the four main ones. National high and low temperatures, a non-generative AI created map. This is from yours truly on, and CJ, I think you know this. I use Photoshop
Hmm.
5.5,
God.
circa like 1999 or something.
Hey, that is something you cannot get nowadays, an
Right,
Adobe product that isn't a subscription.
right.
So
I
hang on to
own
that
it.
as long as you can,
That's right. I own it, and Adobe cannot take it off my laptop.
as
And
much
I
as they would probably love to try.
Sure. And it's sitting right over here on an old Sony Vaio
Oh,
uh,
wow.
that we actually
Oh,
crowdfunded way back in 2011. And that
what's that
Vaio,
running? Windows like
yeah,
Vista?
it's Windows 7 or something.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's
Oh,
great.
I know.
Anyway,
It's
national
funny.
high and lows yesterday. Still having the high temperature for the country, the lower 48 anyway, in California, 89 degrees down there near Woodcrest, and then minus 17 back in the double digits below zero in Salina or Salina, however you say that, in Minnesota, negative 17. There, those are our extremes for yesterday. And I noticed
Right.
as I was putting this together, I had the word Monday on there all week. So Monday, once we got to Tuesday, whatever, finally fixed it today. Remember, this will always be a day behind because
Right.
today hasn't happened yet until we get to midnight, and then today's done. Yeah. So let me see, waiting for Jen to jump on. We still have about 10 minutes, so just checking in to the Zoom interface there. So, record flooding out west is from the AP off of their Twitter. Washington resident films floodwater surrounding their home.
Yeah, they
It's
got quite a mess out there, man.
Oh, absolutely just been terrible. So here's some shots of that. And we'll jump really quickly here over to, I don't know, I got to come up with a title of this segment or whatever. It's Mark's random bookmarks or whatever. There's not really a way. I know you can make folders, but I'll bookmark something and then they're just random. Like well, they're not random.
Right.
They're in the order that I bookmarked them. So maybe there's a different way to arrange things, but whatever. I'll just show you some, and they're all weather related, at least most of them. So still very warm out there in Arizona. Is it really December? They're asking. High pressure keeping things quiet and mild. Expect well above normal temperatures and dry weather to continue right into next week. And then, CJ, the whole country is going to warm up, it looks like. This was interesting here
Yep.
from Colin McCarthy. A lot of followers
Wow, look
does
at that.
Colin have? Uh, Sacramento, you guys okay out there? Because you have been
Wow.
socked in, and it has not gotten more than 46 degrees in 190 hours. So that's more
A
than a
heck of
week.
a
That's
marine
almost eight
layer.
days. Just misery. But you can write some really good Stephen King type novels in those conditions, I bet. All right.
Yeah,
So
that's why you see so many people that coming out with those horror movies and stuff that are set in the
right,
Pacific Northwest and the
right.
Great Lakes. It's the lack of clouds and sun, man. It'll do it to you.
There you go. So it's a seemingly endless stretch of low clouds and sunless days. We need some wind to come in there and scour out the valley, the Sacramento
Yep.
Valley. But anyway, more flooding here. And again, not was that a Coca-Cola? And I don't know if that says we don't want to
Is
call
that a
out Coke.
Budweiser?
It looks like Coca-Cola. Let's see.
It does.
No, it says best. Doesn't matter. We
Huh.
won't besmirch the company. But yeah,
No,
don't
it
cross the
happens.
flooded roads.
Yeah.
We talked about that yesterday. And these are more scenes up here in Washington State. And it's the Nooksack River from Everson to Sumas, Washington, however you say it. Again, just really serious situation up there. Now, my neck of the woods, National Weather Service, Newport, Morehead City, posted this. Look at all that blue, very cold coming
Mhm.
down south and east. And they're monitoring the risk for some of the coldest air of the winter season, even though it's meteorological winter. It's not, astronomical winter yet, whatever.
Right.
Sunday night into Monday morning as a powerful cold front sweeps across the country, lows in the teens, wind chills in the single digits, and some light snow already happening is possible. If we expand the graphic, yee,
Yeah.
but the good stuff is coming. Just got to hang in there. And yeah, so more about that. The extreme cold. Look at these wind chills expected for the northern tier states. I'm sure
Oh,
you're when you
wow.
see this, you're very glad you live in Sarasota.
Yeah. This is one of those that, I'll enjoy looking at it on Facebook from Florida.
Right. This is why Florida
Uh,
is Florida.
oh, yeah. I mean, bitterly cold like that, man. Look at what is that? -40 Fahrenheit up into portions of North Dakota.
Yeah,
No, no
wind chills,
thanks.
but still wind
Mm.
chill, whatever. Cold
Yep.
is cold.
The wind will
Definitely.
get you.
All right, more back to Washington State. And I'm assuming this
Wow.
is Sumas or Sumas, Washington.
I gotta see
Uh,
where that is.
and look, there's a Sinclair.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And unfortunately, lots
Huh.
of water in the roads there. Not good. Just really emphasizing it. Some cool drone footage. I love the drone footage. What a really cool piece of technology. And this is up there also in Washington.
Wow.
Look at those logs floating
Yeah.
around.
Wow.
Major flooding on the Snohomish River record stage in Snohomish. Still rising. This is 18 hours ago, but nevertheless, a major log jam up against US 2 inches
Yeesh.
from topping the levee. Now,
Oh,
that right there
wow.
is fascinating. Pretty amazing stuff there with the log jam up against the
Yep.
bridge. So yeah. All
And
right.
those can be dangerous when they break.
Absolutely. I remember seeing that when I was out in California for one of those atmospheric rivers
Hmm.
in 2023 on the Santa Cruz River, I think it was.
Yep.
Huge redwoods just coming down and jamming up against this footbridge that we had one of our cameras on. I flew the drone. Hey, that'll have to be a throwback Thursday. Maybe I'll do that for next Thursday since that was
Right.
from an atmospheric river. Make a note of that. All right, so speaking of atmospheric rivers, that has been the problem here. I really bang the drum about how good it is that it can be wet out west because you got to take it when you can get it. But this has been way too much. And
Yeah.
we've seen the results of that. And unfortunately, over the next 2 weeks, it looks like it's going to continue. Was contemplating going out there myself next week, but it's a combination of trying to pick the right day to go because these systems keep coming in, and would I get stuck somewhere and the flights get delayed or canceled going into Seattle? And I thought, well, just fly to
Right.
San Francisco and drive up there. No, that's 12 and a half hours. I didn't realize that. The
Yep.
West is deceiving. See, we drove from
Yep. It
Denver
is.
to
Yep.
Bumblebeef,
Amarillo.
Texas that
Or
one day, and
yeah.
it was like
Yeah.
15 hours.
Yep. No,
It's
yeah,
just two
it
inches
is.
on the
It's
map.
just, yeah, I know, right. And it's so deceiving because you only got three states bordering the Pacific Ocean, but nobody really realizes how long California really is. I
Yes.
mean,
So,
but in, what you said about, you got to take it when you can get it. The West is definitely a feast or famine type of environment for water, especially as you get into Central California and point south. And man, this is very reminiscent of 2023, that winter of 2023 into
yep.
24, with the constant atmospheric rivers impacting portions of the West Coast.
I already showed this, and I'm going to show this tweet from Eric later. That, my friends, is what an atmospheric river looks like. I was very excited that the Sierra people put this up. There it is, just
Yep.
streaming in to the Pacific Northwest, and that's a satellite, infrared
Mhm.
colorized satellite, and you can literally see the plume of moisture just constant up there. And look, it's great for the overall water tables and all that stuff, but us humans have to deal with it, and the wildlife too. They're not immune. I saw a video, of
Exactly.
course, with social media, lots of video coming out. There was a herd of elk walking
Wow.
across, it looked like a flooded football stadium because I saw the uprights in the background. But yeah, it was a herd of elk, and it was almost up to their necks. So yeah,
Jeez.
that's a great visual of what an atmospheric river looks like. And I bookmarked this for me. James Gunn promoting Supergirl coming out next June. Not weather related, but that was for my purposes. All right, let me see if Jen has checked into. I'll send her a text real quick and invite her to come on. We are ready for you. And we'll also, while we're waiting for Ms. Nairmore, see what's happening on our YouTube chat. Who do we got? We have our usual crowd, always appreciated. Mark's. I like that. Mark's books, bookmarks. So you remember, CJ, are you young enough? You know how they say I'm old enough to remember. Are you young enough to remember Blue's Clues?
Yes. Yes,
It's
I
okay to
am.
admit that. Um, Mark's. I like that. Like Mark's
Yeah,
bookmarks. Very
like
good,
it.
Kathy. Um, yeah, please do strike the like button. I like the way Howard put that. Mark's atmospheric Twitter river. Interesting suggestions here. It hasn't hit Vancouver yet, right?
Nope.
But it's coming. And somebody mentioned earlier AIVON, hello, no landfalls this year in the US. Great stuff. That's exactly right. Anyhow,
Hmm.
hey, there we go. There's Jen. Let's bring her in, and I'll go ahead and tell you it is time for checking in with Jen. We'll let her Zoom do its thing. And there she is, checked
Good
in. From
morning.
where are you?
I am in Ohio. Um, I'll just say West Central Ohio, in the land of Ohio State.
Ugh.
It's very difficult, but I'm here. I can make it. No, I'm at my mom's. I'm in my mom's basement at the moment. So we're checking in with Jen from mom's basement. And if I sound a little funny, it actually sounds better than it has for most of
Oh,
the week.
been there, done that.
Yeah, it's one of
My
those
throat was
things.
scratchy today, and I was like, well, here
Yeah.
we go, but hopefully not. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
let me tell you real quick. We came in last week from that conference. It was absolutely amazing. Like, it was so fun. Great group of people. And
Great.
it was, it's such a neat medium that we're starting to get into here with the digital stuff. I mean, and what you're doing, Mark, is the digital. You may want to
Yeah,
consider going next year. I really would recommend it. There's some great networking. You're meeting all these folks that are launching these, regional brands, Matt Laban with Mississippi, and there's a new Arkansas
Mhm.
group with James Bryant, and of course the Tennessee Valley folks and people East Tennessee. There was a guy from California. It was amazing. And then the Barron Weather was there and Weather Call folks, and it was just great networking, and you could learn
yeah,
a lot about networking, about marketing. And for us, I walked away with a lot of contacts, and to be able to maybe partner and share some of our tornado history with the groups and what have you. And then what are some ways that we could spread the word of the memorial? And so that was a huge thing. So sadly, I walked away with contacts and a cold or a sinus or something.
of course.
That happens when you go to conferences and what have you. But I'm glad to be back with you guys. And
Yes.
um, how are you two doing? You hanging in? And it's a big week
Hanging in there.
history wise, right?
Yeah, it is. This is a
Yeah.
big week, especially in tornado history.
CJ, improvise for a minute or so while I put this
You're
out on the
good.
Twitter that we've got Jen, please.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big week, Jen. I mean, we're looking back. This is what, 4 years now since well, at the time, it was the largest December tornado outbreak um, in U.S. history. And now, was this one? I can't remember. There was one either before or after this that took the crown, or they took the crown from each other. But December of 21 was so active
Mhm.
comparatively. I mean, we don't really think, I mean, there is a second season, yes, but typically November is really our active month. It's akin to the spring's May, right? And that year, we just had the perfect set of ingredients for really an active tornado season, more
Yeah,
so than usual.
yeah, it was very active, and certainly this 2021 outbreak was one of the worst in December
Mhm.
history. And it's hard to believe it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
And I remember watching this unfold that night,
Mhm.
and we tracked everything in our Tornado Talk Discord, and it was just so horrifying, and because you're also dealing with late night
Yep.
tornadoes. And it's tornadoes are scary no matter what, but when you're talking about tornadoes happening
Sure.
at night. And so Mark's got
Yeah.
pulled up our page on this event. And what we did with this, there were a few of us that got together, and a year after the anniversary or year after the event, we went back through each of the 23 significant tornadoes. So these are the ones that were rated EF2 or higher. There were two
Mhm.
EF4s, six EF3s. And what we did also is we told the stories of the people. And so this really became a model of what I think is going to happen with our memorial, where we do a brief overview of the tornado and then we dive into who were the people stories. And we try to do it in more, smaller chunks for folks to try to see,
Mhm.
because it's an intertwining of both things are so important. It's understanding what happened with the event, but then it's telling the stories of the people. And so, but this is what we did. And I will tell you, this is one of the most difficult things I've ever done. Now, there's some discrepancies on how many people died. I've seen 89, I've seen more, I've seen 89 direct, six non-direct. We went with a total of 92, and
Mhm.
that includes some of the indirect. Now, there may have been a few folks that died after and that we don't realize, like maybe they died
Right.
after and are considered more of an indirect fatality. And if people know who see our article and see we don't have their family member or friend, please let us know.
Right.
We would like to capture them. But this is going to be why this is a living memorial, because
Yes.
we're always going to be adding and looking, and we will never say we have it, but I will tell you we never want it to grow.
Right.
Right.
This is not a project that I want it to get. It's already big enough, but
Right.
it's going to be always something that we're going to work on, at least for the rest of my lifetime, and I
Right.
hope beyond. It'll just be something that can be taken over by someone and just continue it so we can honor these lives. And I don't want it to get any bigger. And so I'm
Sure.
hoping that whatever we do will help, mitigate loss of life in the future. So, but Mark, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about any of these events
Yeah. So
a little bit more
CJ,
closely.
let's let you share the screen. You've got some stuff prepared
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, I got some historical radar imagery brought up, and this is the one that sticks with me. Let me just share this briefly if it'll let me. This is I'm sorry, I got to get it to pop up here. There it is. This is late in the evening, so the times up here in the top are in Eastern time. So this is 9:30 roughly Central time. And I brought this one up because this is the image that haunts me from this night. I remember texting with Mark as the tornado was entering Graves County, Kentucky, and saying, this is going to be bad. And for the first hour, crickets out of Mayfield.
Right.
There wasn't images. There wasn't, and Jen, is a broadcaster. You cover these things live. We know as people within the chasing community, when you don't hear anything, that's not a good sign.
It's not a good sign.
And this is pre-Starlink, so
yeah,
there
this
was
is
a really good way. It's weird to say that pre-Starlink, but yeah. So the chasers that were there, it took a little bit of time, and then we started to realize this is really, really bad, and it was all happening at night.
Yeah.
And this was dark of night. So for those that are, just looking at this for the first time, this is the radar imagery of the supercell that produced the Mayfield tornado. This is the Mayfield tornado in progress. And what stands out to me from the radar meteorology side of it, Jen, is first and foremost, that debris ball as this storm came into Mayfield. I mean, it just, see if I can back up a couple of frames here, if it'll let me. Sometimes this level 2 historical stuff is a bit. Let me put it in motion for a second. I think I have to reload the frames. There it goes. There it goes. So this is the immediately before is the tornado, again, now down here. Was moving up I-69 and really just went. And I remember refreshing my phone repetitively, waiting for that scan. And then boom, this one popped up.
Look at the scatter that comes out of it too. It looks like a hail spike, but it's not debris.
That 3-body scatter spike, man. It when I saw this image pop up on my phone.
Even now.
Yeah. And I mean, those people, they really lived through what can only be described as hell on earth.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's really what this is. But I mean, from a meteorological perspective, I mean, this is a textbook supercell, the textbook high precipitation supercell out by itself, out in front of the main line. It really had an untapped atmosphere to work through. So the meteorology behind it is just really fascinating that this isn't mid-May somewhere in Oklahoma.
That's the other part, right? This was December, for goodness sakes.
This was December 10th, 2021 at 9:30 Central Time.
Right.
So you're talking 9:30 at night in mid-December in Western Kentucky. And I mean, this thing just kept on trucking. I remember at the time, we were talking about, is it a quad state supercell? Is it, could this tornado have crossed the whole way from, because, we had the tornado earlier that evening that was in the F4 in portions of Arkansas and Missouri. And then, it had lifted and the storm recycled as we found out later on. But I mean, this thing, and Mark, I'm going to give you back the screen because I think you had Tornado Archive pulled up or Tornado Talk because they have the paths.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Figure out how to.
Yeah, we have the map of the 23 significant.
Yeah.
On our website, that tornado, it's one of the longest track of the 21st century, 165.6 miles. That's what we have in our statistics here. But yeah, that's our map there that shows the tornado paths of the significant from the event.
Right.
So yeah, that's one of our features that you can kind of zoom out a little bit too, Mark, with that. You can kind of see the paths.
Oh,
there
wow.
you go. Yeah, that's
Very
one of our
fancy.
features.
Who coded this for you? That's nice.
That would be Nelson Tucker, owner of the Otis Project. Yes,
That's great.
Yes.
That's
he
awesome.
did great learning this. Yeah, and we've been working on that. And we're going to start doing a lot more of these type of mappings, hopefully using ArcGIS.
Right.
That's awesome. And I don't want to overshadow Mark. If you want to hone in on the St. Louis Metro, that's kind of one of the really untalked about aspects of this outbreak. Jen, was how impacted the St. Louis area was. While as of course it should have been, the majority of the focus was on the Mid Mississippi Valley and the Mississippi and Lower Ohio Valley. You had two major tornadoes that went through a very highly populated part of the St. Louis metropolitan area, including, I think that was an Amazon factory that was struck in Edwardsville,
In
Illinois.
Edwardsville. Yeah, 6 people died there.
Yes, I remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that one, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there was that in the candle factory were the largest fatality events in terms of in one place, correct?
Yeah, 9 at the
Okay.
candle factory.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I know that you guys went through, what was it like meeting with people that had survived these, especially those two EF4s that went through, for over, one of them tracking, 100 plus miles?
Well, we have not met with people yet.
You haven't? Okay.
We have not. No, this particular write up was one that we did over the holidays a year
Right.
after, and we
Okay.
sat at home and cranked it out. There was so much information at your fingertips with
Right.
year anniversaries and going, and some of the more current events you can find a lot more online.
Right.
So we have not, but this is one thing when I'm hitting the road, I will be going to Mayfield. I'll be spending so much time in St. Louis. I mean, that town has been hit so many times with different
Yeah.
tornadoes starting in the late 1800s that there will be so many people to talk to and get information, and historians, and then hopefully survivors to get information. But yeah, we did not. We went through and just read articles and got our information that way on this particular event.
CJ, you and I saw some of this damage path when we drove
We
out to the
did.
Midwest this year, right?
We did. So we ended up crossing when, so Mark, if you want to bring up that map one more time, or maybe, yeah, that'll be perfect. So driving out to the Midwest, we passed down portions of Interstate 65 or 69 and I-24 where this tornado had crossed, and you could still very clearly make out where the tornado had mowed down the trees. This is one of those damage paths like Wheatfield, like Tuscaloosa, Joplin, that damage path is going to be visible for decades after this event. This is definitely one of the more notable events, I would say, not just in the even taking, the 20th century into account, other than the tri-state tornado of 1925.
In December, too. That's just what kills me.
And that's what's so remarkable about this. I mean, looking back historically, you obviously having a much more broad understanding of tornado history, where does this event place for you?
In terms of
just impact,
the
like
impact, I would say it's probably, I mean, it's obviously the most impactful one of the past, I would say 10 years. I think I'm most struck by the fact of how many there were in December at night. It's just everything coming, it's one thing to have a huge event, you get a big warm up and then you get a big front end and you get severe weather, and it's not uncommon because there's tornadoes all the time in the second season, but it's the nighttime stuff. This kept going. The Bowling Green EF3, which was
what,
the second
1 in the morning almost, or 11 at night?
1 in the morning, and it was the second deadliest. And what was tragic about the Bowling Green tornado is that it killed several members of families.
Yeah.
So there were like 5 or 6 in one family that would die in these neighborhoods, and a lot of them were immigrants. Yeah. And so we document their story in this article. It's so awful, and it just shows you that we've got a long way to go to try to work on our dissemination of information and warning, but it's at night.
Right. What do you do when somebody's asleep? How do you wake them up? Yeah. And that's really what it boils down to is, these nocturnal events, especially for those of us in the Southeast, not that, the plains aren't, immune to these either, but they're very common down here in the Southeast, especially. I would say south of the Ohio Valley, east of the Mississippi, they become increasingly common. And they become deadlier, especially later in the season. We've seen, what was it, the Birmingham F5 in 1990, was that 98? I want to say
But
that was December of 98, wasn't it? I think it was a
the,
nocturnal F5.
I'm trying to remember.
I think
The Tuscaloosa one. There's a Tuscaloosa one in December
that
of
was
2000.
2000. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hold on.
And not to go James Spann on everybody here,
No,
but let me
April
just
6th.
say,
Sorry.
oh, the April. Okay, I was like,
April
yeah.
98.
I always thought you meant like the Tuscaloosa one.
No, no, no.
Not to go James Spann on everybody, but here's the thing about nighttime tornadoes. First of all, you can't rely on a siren.
No.
Sirens, I think, have their place, and then a lot of people
Mhm.
are taking their phones and they're turning off the WIA
Mhm.
alerts because they're getting too many things. And
Yep.
then I don't understand why people don't have weather radios. That is what a weather radio is for. It is supposed to be
Hmm.
loud and obnoxious to wake you up, and it is the
Save your
most
life.
reliable. It'll save
Right.
your life.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
think. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I just think that everyone should have one. And
I agree.
we've talked about it on Weather Brains that if you're a real estate agent, I think that should be part of your package that you leave the person
Hmm.
who's moved into their new home with a weather radio.
They should build them into
Oh,
the ceilings like they do with the
right.
fire detectors.
Yeah. No, I like that. I think a lot of people, and here's, the big thing that I've noticed, just I gave my grandparents one. I had bought a newer model and I, gave them the one that I had before that. The biggest, I think, and you hit the nail on the head with turning off the WIAs because of the amount of false alarms, or like, for example, I had to turn off the Amber Alerts, as horrible as that is to say on mine, because I would get Amber Alerts for people in Pensacola that's 8 hours away from where I live. Or like in Texas, I know a lot of people got annoyed with them. They'd get something from El Paso and they live in Houston.
Right. And that's 2 days drive. So,
Yeah, no, it is, but it's the truth.
right.
Um, and I know with weather radios, people get annoyed because they go off all the time. I wish that they would make them a little bit more friendly, where they already have the type of alerts that really matter rather than
Yeah.
it going off every
Pre-programmed.
time you're under a severe thunderstorm watch or a
Right.
severe thunderstorm warning. Because you don't always, as much as there is a place where you need to be advised of a severe thunderstorm warning, something like what happened in Iowa in 2020, the giant derecho with 100+ mile an hour winds, versus a thunderstorm with 65 mile an hour and quarter-sized hail. Yes, it's damaging, but realistically, do
Right.
we need to warn that?
Is it life threatening?
Is
Right.
it life threatening is the question. And then people become desensitized. So what I would always suggest people do is learn how your weather radio works, program it to alert you for tornado warnings specifically, and then anything, on there that might be necessary. Some people live in areas that need avalanche warnings. Some people, live near
Flash flood would
volcanoes,
be,
flash
yeah.
floods,
Mhm.
that kind of deal. You want to be alerted to the most dangerous, issues in your area. Like for me, I don't need to hear it go off every time there's a hurricane watch. I already know it's coming. I don't need it to go off every, advisory when they issue a new local forecast statement, but I want to be alerted in the middle. That's why I have it. It'll wake us up because we get nocturnal tornadoes here in Florida in the
Yeah.
winter months. So
Yeah.
we need to be alerted so we can take action. And, it was amazing to me, even in the era of that we still had so many people die
Yeah.
in this outbreak. And I think a lot of that is desensitization. You saw a lot of that come out of that consumer products factory in Mayfield, where they had warnings earlier that night. They didn't really know what they should do. And I hope that that's the legacy of this outbreak, really, moving forward, is how we change the
Yeah.
narrative and how we
how it can
disseminate
help.
information.
Right. It
Yeah.
can inform the future of better communication. Yeah, I mean, 4 years ago, that was quite a terrible night. I remember watching it unfold here and CJ
Mhm.
texting me and seeing it unfold on Twitter, especially. Um, so yeah, we're talking to Jen Nairmore here, who is in charge of the Tornado Talk project, and y'all have done such a great job with it. But like you said, you have a long way to go, and um, it probably won't ever be finished because unfortunately we're going to lose lives in tornadoes, and as the population continues to grow in favorable areas of the country where we have tornadoes,
Yeah.
it's just the way it
Mhm.
is. But certainly the effort to reduce the loss of life is there through a lot of different people that we know in the business, through technology, even as old as those tornado sirens. You remember, CJ, that Matt and I parked 100 feet from a siren in
Yeah.
Oklahoma watching a
Oh
supercell
man.
come across, and he said, I just got to turn the stream off because you guys are killing me with this thing.
Yeah.
It do work if you're
Oh
close to them,
wow.
but right,
Yeah.
it's not the end all be all.
No.
So, anything else you want to add about tornado history in December, for example, Jen? You
No,
know,
I didn't do a lot of statistics looking at all that this morning. I could probably do a little bit for next week. Now, what is your plan the next few weeks? Are you going to be a normal person during the holidays, or are you going to take holidays off? Have you thought through it? Because I want to think through
right.
where should Jen show up? I have some ideas.
Yeah, I mean, the weather's happening Monday through Friday, and I take the weekends off. And this is only a 10 o'clock in the morning kind of deal, so I feel like doing it every day of the week, unless I'm on the road or something,
All
is the
right.
way to go. It
All
doesn't take
right.
a lot of effort from me, honestly. I enjoy this, it's fun. And so, no, there's no, I mean, even Christmas Day, you might have four people watching, or there could be 400 because everybody's stuck at home and they want to see
That's
something
true.
else rather than It's a Wonderful Life for the 12th time, or A Christmas
A
Story,
Christmas
or
story. That's
Chevy
right.
Chase and Christmas Vacation, whatever.
That's
But yes,
right.
so to answer your question, I'll definitely be here
Okay.
through the holidays because
Let
the
me work
weather
on
never quits.
it does not quit. No, and I'm working radio anyway,
Yeah,
so hopefully my voice continues to get stronger. And
right.
but I do have an idea for next week. I will touch base with you about that, and
Please.
then I will work on some December stats. And if
Yeah.
if anyone, I am on the Discord. If anyone has any thoughts of tornado history questions or anything, throw them Mark's way. He can throw them to me, and I can keep my eye
Mhm.
out for them too. If you have questions on tornado history, when I show up for these check it in with Jen things, I can answer those questions for you. But I will start looking at some December stats of, how many tornadoes have happened, how many were killer tornadoes, were some of the areas that have been more prone for it, and we can kind of look at that. But I do have a thought for next week, so I'll keep you posted. And I just really enjoy, hanging out with you too and having this opportunity to share tornado history with everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate it as well. Have a good
Yeah.
weekend ahead and
Yes.
enjoy your next meeting coming up.
I can't wait.
We're always busy. Thank
That's
you, Jen.
right. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah, so 4 years. It's hard to believe
Yeah.
that night was something else.
It was.
We talked about it,
I
brought it back, just how
yeah.
awful it was watching that mow through that area.
One of the things I remember vaguely is that first like picture that we saw, that it was from one of the local news channels out there, and somebody had snapped a picture of this thing illuminated by
Yeah.
lightning as it was crossing through that land between the lakes.
Yep.
And I think what was it? The 60 Minutes dubbed it the Beast, is what
Yeah.
they called it. And that's really, the videos that started coming out, the roar of this thing. It If the people that lived through it, they truly experienced what I would call a top tier event with that
Oh yeah.
tornado. It
Right.
is, that will be one that turns people into meteorologists. There are
Right.
meteorologists in the making somewhere in Western Kentucky out of this.
Right.
I
And that'll
guarantee
be
it.
some good that comes out
Hmm.
from it. All right.
Exactly. So go
So
ahead. Sorry.
yeah, it's gonna jump back in and continue on with some other stuff. Not to dismiss the Mayfield tornado and the outbreak there. Was it 10th and 11th or so of December 21?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just a weird time of year. And just looking right now, this is a good way to segue into this. Looking out there today, that same area, winter weather. So it just shows you how dynamic the weather can be. 4 years ago, plus a couple days now gone by, the area was under the siege of tornadoes.
Yeah.
Now, winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories, and so forth. So just what a setup that must have been. And we'll address it again in the future with more of the synoptics of it. But let's look at some current weather real quick back on the regular part of the program, so to speak. National Weather Map. Again, it's mostly northern tier states where the winter, what a terrible, let's use that one. There we go. Red, we'll outline it
Much
all in
better.
red. That's where most of the winter weather is, even though the very cold air is headed for my neck of the woods. CJ's right down here where, what'd you say it was in the 40s this morning?
46. Yep. Mid 40s.
Lovely. And let's see, we'll just keep using red, get a thicker stroke line. That, my friends, is fog in
Hmm.
and around Texas, just to point that out. But not a bad overall weather map for this Friday. Look up here in the northern tier states, still with, so remember the other day we saw that bright blue and there
Yeah,
was
the
avalanche
avalanche.
and whatever. But there's this blue and then there's this blue, right?
Yeah. So,
That's
you
the
know,
extreme cold warning, that like
yep.
vibrant blue.
Yep. So so for those that aren't aware, they took the old wind chill advisories and the wind chill warnings and all that. And now it's just called an extreme cold warning, akin to the extreme heat watch or excessive heat, whatever they use in the summer. And, 40 below zero. I'm good.
What is that like? I mean, dude,
This is the kind
frostbite.
of weather, and I will tell you, I have never experienced negative 40s, but I have experienced personally growing up negative 20 plus,
Yeah.
20 and below numerous times. This is that kind of weather when you go outside, it's -3 with a -25 wind chill. You can take a boiling pot of
Yep.
water off the stove,
Yep.
throw it up in the air, and it turns into snow. So this is, absolutely bone chillingly cold. And they're right. You can have frostbite in as little as 10 minutes at -40.
Yuck.
Nope.
And there's some lake snows. That was part of our bullet points to cover
Yep.
today, coming off of Erie and Ontario again.
Hmm.
And our friend Brad is leaving Pennsylvania. I didn't check in to exactly where he was. He's headed back down to the Outer Banks, where we will see him tomorrow to replace that
Yeah.
camera at the
Yep.
Rodeo Theater.
I think he was in roughly the same area of Pittsburgh I was in. I believe he and I had talked briefly, and I believe his wife and I grew up in the same exact area. So just a small world. But Pittsburgh's going to miss out on that winter weather or winter storm. It
Right.
should stay relatively west of the mountains, so he should have good driving weather. Yeah, heavy freezing spray warning. That is,
Is that cyan? Is that what you would call that?
it's yeah.
So we
We'll
need
call it
Bob Ross
cyan.
to still be with
Yeah.
us to
Oh
because he's got all
God.
those colors. Phthalo blue, you
Ugh.
know, yellow ochre. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, heavy freezing spray warning. I mean, get out on this peninsula sometime and experience that in Houghton. I
I'm
don't know.
good.
Maybe one day I win the lottery and I can just go see all the weather I could ever want and buy a
Reminds me of
tiny
when,
house. And then my wife
yeah,
can come with me and enjoy it, and she can watch HGTV over Starlink. She'd probably
my
like that.
yes, you would. Courtney says that kind of stuff. She remembers when she was a kid, they had real bad freezing spray from the lakes, and they had a whole street. 'Cause she grew up in Cleveland before she moved to Pittsburgh in high school. The entire street, the cars were frozen to the ground from the spray
Oh,
coming off the lakes. Like, I mean,
yeah.
encased in ice. That
Yeah, we've
stuff
seen
sucks.
videos of that in recent years.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, back to some of the flooding stuff. Want to make sure I mention this. It's a great product right off of the homepage here of the National Weather Service. You can go to weather.gov right there, and then you
Mhm.
click on rivers, lakes, rainfall. And ladies and gentlemen, that brings you to a really great interactive map with all kinds of gauge information from around the country. And you can mouse over them to get you the name of it. For example, this is the Snohomish River near Monroe, Washington. And when you click on it, it gives you the info of what's happening. They almost hit the record there. It peaked out at about 24 feet, going to rapidly go down and then rise again. Luckily, only in the action stage. But look at all these purples. These are your areas in major flood, but this is applicable. This map and the interactivity of it anywhere here in the country. Look at all the
Yep.
hundreds and hundreds of gauges, but you can clearly see where you've had a lot of rainfall up here.
Yeah.
And yeah, so down here, look at these browns. What does that mean? I want to look down in your neck of the woods. Why are they brown? Is that from low water? Let's see.
Probably from low
Yeah,
water
low
because that's the
threshold.
area.
The
That's the
drought area.
area. Yeah, that's the drought area. So what that means,
I've never
I
seen that.
believe, yeah, so that does happen. I believe that means that the water is below the gauge,
Yeah, these are
if
low
I'm not
water
mistaken.
thresholds. The
Um, yeah, they typically only happen on rivers that are not flood system controlled. So that's why you see them on, I believe, what river was that you had up before? It's the Osceola River. I know that doesn't have dams on it. But that is the heart of where we've experienced really bad drought in the state.
yeah,
So
I was
yeah,
getting
I
ready.
mean
Yeah,
they're flirting with that, where it's becoming a serious hydrological problem,
look
especially
at
in an
that.
area like here where those rivers are only coming really from the swamps
Right. So a
and
lot of these
springs.
areas in low water threshold where
Hmm.
the heart of the drought is. How
Yep.
about that for correlation?
Yep.
Wild, weird stuff, as Carson would say back in the day. Man, I did not know that. I really didn't know
Hmm.
that they had a low water threat. You learn something new every day, and Mark the map guy learned about that. How about that? Some low water thresholds up here, even in the Appalachians.
Yep.
Wow, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that for future reference. All right, moving on along. This cold shot will bring with it some snow and nothing. It's a fast moving system, but just to point this out to you, an interesting little corridor here from Montana all the way down to parts of Virginia, and you can add in the Carolinas as well, at least North Carolina, because we've seen some flurries. But this isn't flurries, this is the percentage chance of 4-inch snowfall or more.
Yep.
It's a decent little swath there cutting through as that Arctic front digs south and east. All
That is
right,
your
Barton just checking
classic.
in with Jen. Yep, what's
Sorry,
saying?
no, I was say that's your classic Alberta Clipper
Yeah.
path, right? Coming right
Whee!
through the
Yep.
Conus. Yep.
And then you've got the lake effect snows here downwind
You
of
can
Erie
perfectly
and
see the rain shadow of the Appalachians
right.
through the Mid Atlantic. Yeah.
You pick out all sorts of cool stuff just by looking at maps. How about that? Follow Friday. All right, so I've been talking a lot about the Pacific Northwest, and today's Follow Friday is this gentleman, Matthew Fab. That's a happy picture of this fella. You know he likes the weather, and I've followed him for a couple years now. Beautiful Mount Rainier. Not been on the mountain itself, but I've been right up next to it with my family in 2024. And what a gorgeous area of the country. But yeah, this is my Follow Friday suggestion for everybody watching today. Matthew posts YouTube videos, he retweets other people, of course, and eventually we're going to get out there and meet this fella in person. And there they are, him and his colleagues, kind of in awe of the Snoqualmie Snoqualmie Falls, sorry.
Yeah.
Just incredible stuff. So that's my recommendation. Look at that. You can just probably crank it up and hear the noise.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those, you can hear this picture. It's
Yeah.
almost like Niagara Falls.
And you can feel it too with all the mist
Yeah.
that
With all the
is coming.
mist and the spray. Yep.
So everybody
That
go
is
get a
just
spray bottle
wild.
and spray yourselves. It's interactive. But yeah, this is some of the different flooding scenes that Matthew has been sharing, the
Mhm.
drone video, etc. Yep. So that's I sent him a message earlier that might be coming out there. Thought about it, just not sure this is the event. I mean, we're missing the worst part. I should have been
Mhm.
thinking about this earlier, but I really wanted to get the show going for 2 solid weeks before going on any field work stuff. But I've been in touch with him a couple times actually. My point is, that's all we need is another Matt in our circle,
Right.
right? We definitely have a lot of Matthews and Matts that work with us, but only one CJ.
Yeah.
All right. So, rumors of storms. I heard it through the algorithm, not the grapevine. It's been upgraded to algorithm. this Chat GPT generated image.
I
The
actually really
stunned
like
look
that.
on everybody's faces as they look at the long range GFS model. AI, hey, look, it's got some interesting things, but I don't know. Whatever. That's the image that I'm going to go with now. But this is cool because it helps me get to this here from Eric. It's always funny, he says, to me, how many weenies come out of the woodwork to point out all the caveats or post rebuttals with their favorite deterministic models when a warm pattern shows up in winter. I guarantee you these same people wouldn't be posting these caveats if it were showing cold and snow. Because why, CJ? Most people like a big winter storm.
Yep.
Maybe you don't anymore, but most people apparently do. So when
Mm.
Eric posted this, Merry Torchmas, Eric Webb, uh, he talked about that, and then people come back at him, trying to, what do they say, throw shade or something? Is that the
Mhm.
expression?
I
And he's
guess.
like, some of you don't realize how much better you'd be at long range forecasting or forecasting in general if you actually looked at things objectively instead of trying to reinforce your own confirmation biases. And then that brings me to my point that the algorithm, whatever it is out there on social media, and for us, obviously, it's weather, picks up on your biases. And
Oh,
your
100%.
bias could be towards all kinds of things: sports,
Mm-hmm.
politics, conspiracy theories, and in our case, weather. So I thought that was a very apropos post from Mr. Webb there. All right. I don't know why I have activated my web. There we go. So I didn't look at the first 7 days, so we'll do that now. And there's that clipper system that moves through. Clearly see that through here. So let's go through the next 7 days. And yeah, more rain and whatnot out in the west, high mountain snow. But a problem that I was seeing with me getting out there, always jumping to the 12Z during the show. Um, when would I go? Like if I left Monday, it looks pretty bleak Monday, and I could see Scott and I, he was agreeing to help. We could get stuck in Charlotte. You
Yeah.
know, like, well, it's too crappy in Seattle. And then when are you gonna go? You gonna go Tuesday? Nope, still crappy out there. How about Wednesday? Nope. And I was like, well, I don't want to like pack everything, spend the money, book rooms because with hotels and everything, they don't let you unbook
Mm-hmm.
it because you couldn't make your flight. Logistically, it's hard. And
Yep.
so I think we're going to have to pass on this and just wait for something that's
More
more
blockbuster.
bomb cyclones that you get out there. So, real
Yep.
quick, before we jump off of this, let me go back over to some satellite imagery, and I want to show something that Scott had mentioned. And let me just find the right area here. How about the Pacific? Um, I just don't have the right vantage point. We'll show Alaska for now. And let me read the text from Scott and see what CJ can add to this. It may be something that I have to research more and talk about in the future, but he's basically mentioning the Aleutian Low
Yeah.
and its semi-permanent stance at
Yep.
helping to advance and reinforce these atmospheric rivers.
Yep.
What do you know about the Aleutian Low? And maybe this will be a topic for Monday or something, but he brought up a good
You could
point.
do a Hurricane U on this. So in every basin, every oceanic basin, we have what are called semi-permanent pressure systems, semi-permanent weather systems. That just means that they're always there in one form or another. And in the Pacific, so in the Atlantic, we're very familiar with the Azores or Bermuda High, right? And then in the winter months, that migrates down to, migrates south in the winter, north in the, or wait, do I have it reversed? Anyway, it sits out there. In
Yeah, they
the
move north
Pacific,
during the summer.
yeah, move north during the summer, south during the winter. So you'll notice the height lines converging just around the Aleutian Islands there, south of the Bering Strait or south of the Bering Sea. So what that is that is a low pressure system. As the air circulates the Earth, it's it's a product of the Coriolis effect.
Right.
And what that does is that counterclockwise flow is you can see there really slingshots those atmospheric rivers right into the continent. So this is
Actually, yeah.
actually
Good
what is
catch.
responsible for a lot of the water in California. This is
Right.
what is that low marches south, which it typically does, especially during an El Nino pattern.
Right.
That's what gives you the stormier conditions in California.
Very good. Very good. I'm
So yeah,
glad
just to
Scott
boil
brought
it
that
down
up.
as simple, as simple and easily to digest as possible, that's what we're looking at. And this really does, it's a semi-permanent fixture up there. It's why Alaska is usually always gray and gloomy in the winter. It's also why the Pacific Northwest is the way it is. So yeah, it's definitely something that enhances this, no doubt.
And now I can't get Tidbits to respond. Really? Let me go back over here. You're currently offline. I'm sorry. How could that be? I'm still talking to CJ. Forecast models. That's weird. Yeah, I'm just Tidbits is not working for me. The internet's angry with me. Let me open a new tab as I closed a tab by accident. Yeah, I can't get Tropical Tidbits to come up. Might have to have you share your screen to do our
Let's
rumors of
see.
storms. Maybe
No,
you show Pivotal or something. Is Tidbits working for you?
it's taken forever to load.
So we broke Tropical Tidbits during our segment. How about that? Let me show you this picture from Scott real quick as we figure out. I have to have CJ bail me out because Pivotal Weather's interface better than me. But this is from Scott. Works over at the University of South Carolina. Nice picture of the smokestack there during the golden hour. The fall leaves or early winter leaf dropping. And then this picture too yesterday from one of our wonderful friends of the project. And I think this is also in Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Northwest PA. Snow and
Mhm.
we call that a snow fence, right? Not the same type you see out west where
No,
they
yeah,
literally
that's
stop the
just, yep.
snow. But yeah,
Yeah.
CJ, let's
All right.
let you
I am
share
ready
your
for you.
screen if you can get Pivotal Weather up, and let's look out at the 6Z GFS, like their version of the surface map for the CONUS, and
Yep,
let's see
got
if
it.
there's anything that jumps out over the next 2 weeks
Okay, so
where
we are
people are going to be
going to
talking
do the
about it.
forecast loop. So let's start. You want to start 180 hours?
Yep, that'll work just past a week out.
That's the 0Z, not the 6Z.
Either
It
one. Yep.
wouldn't. All right, there we go. Sorry, theirs is a little
Yeah, the
different.
interfaces are different.
Okay, so this is 6Z out 180 hours. So we got, let's see, do I have annotation abilities? Yes. So we are, really so tiny.
Folks in the
Um,
YouTube chat are like, yeah, I can get Tidbits to
1219.
come up.
Yeah, it's so weird. I couldn't get it to load either.
Now it's up for
Um,
me.
okay.
I got it.
So here.
So I
Oh,
don't mind taking over.
here you go.
Temporary uh, loss of tidbits. All right. So for the next week, not too much in terms of big time weather, except in the Pacific Northwest, where again, this parade of storms will continue. But
Yep.
getting out there, I think, is going to be problematic to cover it, honestly. And then beyond the 7 day time frame, we really do start to warm it up here in the east. I'll show you on the temperature profile in a moment. But no real big storms coming in at all through
Nope.
Christmas. I mean, this is 336 hours, another high latitude system front dragging through the Mississippi Valley into the Ohio Valley. More Arctic air poised to come down and displace that warm air. But we're just not seeing any of these big, sharing thousands of views, whatever, YouTube scary thumbnail type algorithmically based storms. Still, we will probably get through all of 2025, and this is what is shocking here, without a Miller A blockbuster nor'easter or even a
Mhm.
little old Miller B that comes through the different types.
Yep.
We have not had a significant nor'easter winter storm at all in 2025, and it looks like we're going to close the year out being shut out. So we had
Yep.
no hurricane landfalls and no big nor'easters this year. That's pretty Are they
Nope.
related? We'll see.
Maybe.
But interesting, isn't it? I mean, I
Yep.
didn't
And it's
grow up with
also interesting.
Massachusetts for the first time in several years.
Yep. It's also interesting. We've had a lot of flooding in the West and a lot of tornadoes this year
Yeah, in the
as
nation's
well. So
midsection.
it's just a very weird year weather-wise.
But we do start to warm it up. Not a rumor. It's happening. It's coming. Nice and warm as we
Look
get
at
out
that.
towards Christmas, and then the bottom falls out again.
Hmm.
Maybe that's what it looks like. Nothing terrible. I mean, the really cold stuff, even at the end of the year, and these are overnight lows. So you're talking, 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. in the east, whatever. Still locked up in Canada. So not a bad pattern overall, but I really am looking forward to this warm up that we see here in the modeling over the coming days. All right. So I think that about wraps it up for this Friday. I appreciate you joining in with me, CJ. And you got
Absolutely. Always
anything
glad
fun
to.
planned for the weekend?
Yeah, just going to relax and enjoy the weather. It's supposed to be a nice weekend. A little chillier, but
Right.
beautiful otherwise for most of the Florida Peninsula. So I'm going to
Like I
enjoy that.
said, tomorrow heading out with Mike Farrow
Enjoy that.
to put the camera up on the Outer Banks. I was thinking about taking our
Awesome.
Starlink and the old Speedify there and just testing it, make sure that thing still works. So
Yep.
I'll get on the back end and talk with you and Howard about that to just make sure it's still going because we're going to have to definitely use it next year during spring tornado
Yep.
season with some plans that we have for studying tornadoes and showing them to people via drone, but we want to do it live.
Exactly.
And so we have to beef up our connectivity. But another thing, just to let people know, especially if you're on our Patreon, season 6 of Stories from the Hurricane Highway, our exclusive podcast on Patreon only. Season 6, episode 1. I'm putting that up this afternoon. The introduction to 2018 and the new era, this modern era that we are now in.
Yeah.
And for those of you that have paid attention over the years, you'll notice the intro, the musical intro and the little audio montage is a little bit longer with a little bit of added stuff because we're in that era where we meet new people. You'll see. So, episode 1 of season 6 dropping this afternoon. We'll put it on our Discord and it's on our Patreon.
Awesome.
Everybody else out there watching, thank you for tuning in and thank you for helping to get us through the first 2 weeks of this here show. I'm Mark Sudduth. That's CJ Morgan, also known as Florida Man Weather. And wishing you all a great weekend. We'll see you back on Monday.
Have a good one.